Oh, it's the last home game of the season for Millwall. What a season it's been, up and down, topsy-turvy, but we are finally there. Plymouth Argyle visit, and oh my goodness, they need some points. Let's talk to George about how nice it is not to have to worry about the result of this one. Welcome back from the Stadium of Light. Nice trip up north.
Yeah, lovely trip up north. It's been a while since we've gone to Sunderland and won. Our record isn't very good when we travel up there to the Stadium of Light. It was a good result. I mean, it was two teams which you could see both of them were on the beach, sort of neither of them really had anything to play for. Although mathematically we weren't quite safe yet. I think mentally the players knew we were all but there, and even if we got a point, it would have been near enough kept us up. So the fact we've gone there and delivered all three was brilliant. I thought it was well deserved. I think as the game was going on, I thought Millwall could potentially nick a goal here, and we did through Duncan Watmore, ex-Sunderland player, of course, which was always nice. He didn't celebrate, which I was a little bit disappointed with.
Oh, you don't like that, do you? You don't like
No,
that, no.
no, I wish he celebrated, especially going up there against the team which he was there for a short period of his career,
Okay.
played in the Premier League for them. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed he didn't celebrate. But listen, it was a really well crafted goal. Ryan Longman came down the right hand side and delivered a nice ball, and Watmore did really well just to get in front of the defender and just nick in and smash it into the roof of the net. So yeah, and yeah, at the very end of the game as well, what I loved as well is Neil Harris and the rest of the team getting into one massive circle, like a huddle almost, in front of the away fans and basically just saying, listen, we've done it, lads, well done. We understand this season's been poor, but we go again next season type thing. So it was a nice moment for Harris to get the group into a huddle and sort of celebrate in front of the away fans.
Good, yeah. And even our Sunderland fan earlier said Millwall thoroughly deserved it.
Mm.
Sunderland deserved absolutely nothing, and that's exactly what they've got. So then, we come then to the last home game of the season, which is always, a nice time to say thank you. I'm going to just point out a comment that was made in our video last week by a Millwall fan, and I think it was directly aimed at you, which kind of said, who do you think you are, kind of whippersnapper? I've been to Millwall far longer than you have, and Neil Harris is the one manager that would get this club. Lives, breathes, bleeds Millwall. Why would you not want him as a manager next season? Now you've clearly made your point on this in the last couple of weeks now that you do not want him, but
Mm.
surely for what he's done in the last 2 months, he's worth giving a shot to.
Yeah, yeah. I've been very vocal about the manager situation, and I think when you put yourself out online and you say certain stuff, you have to take the criticism and you have to take people saying stuff back which they might disagree with you, right? And that's obviously just the example in this case. And I always stick by what I say. I still believe that if Neil Harris is the manager next season, I don't believe there is a long-term process there. He's only on an 18th month contract. So I personally don't see the long-term plan there. However, you can't deny the fact that Neil Harris has probably earned a shot next season, and I will say that he does deserve a shot next season, and I will fully get behind him and the team. Um, again, there's obviously issues over the style of football. There always has been, and there always will be. However, let's look at the facts here. Neil Harris has won every single home game he's been in charge in, bar one, which was a draw into West Brom. He's won every home game. He's now won three on the bounce, and he came in when Millwall were in a sticky situation, looking almost destined to get relegated, and he's come in and he's kept the club up. So you can't really ask for much more from him. You can't ask for much more. So I feel like Neil Harris is well deserving of a shot next season to take the team forward. Hopefully, he has a good pre-season and we have a solid transfer window, so then he can take the current squad of players into next season. But yeah, listen, I still don't see the long-term project, and I still don't like Neil Harris's football. I think a lot of Millwall fans will say the same thing. I want my football club to show a little bit of ambition. However, I understand. I also understand that a certain amount of the fan base, especially the older generation, obviously have a certain amount of loyalty towards Harris, because they've seen him rise from as a player, become the club's all-time leading top goal scorer as a player. Then as a manager, he took us over in a sticky situation. And got us promoted at the second time of asking, 2 trips to Wembley. We've had some really good cup runs under him, and he epitomises what Millwall Football Club is. He understands the football club. He lives and breathes it. He's gone away and he's not, and factually, right, he's gone away and he's not done very well at other clubs. You look at Cardiff, he got sacked. Gillingham, he got sacked. He was at Cambridge before Millwall. However, he doesn't care, as no disrespect to those clubs, but he doesn't care about those clubs as much as he does Millwall. He's a Millwall man, and that's what you've got to take into account. So, listen, he's done what he can. He's done the job. He's done really well so far. He's going to be here next season, and I will fully back the manager and I'll back the players. I just don't see the long-term plan with it sometimes. But listen, my views are different to others. It would be boring in this world if we all didn't have the same.
In the summer, when I get a week off, what I might do is try and find the video from you back in December, which was describing Joe Edwards and this new brand of fast football. And Millwall, we're going to be the tourists' capital of football, and you've got new food vans, and everything's going in the right direction, and this new way of breed of football at Millwall. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And then I listen to what you've just said, and I can't help feeling that whilst Millwall is great to survive, and we want Millwall in the Championship, that, like you described, the club has gone backwards in its progressive steps. I don't mean that in a bad way, but do you understand what I mean? Like, it feels like there was something behind that Joe Edwards project, and obviously it didn't work for whatever reason. But I do hope that all those kind of ambitions for better football and attracting and keeping fans are still there in the club.
I think it's about having a little bit of balance, really. I think it's about sticking to your culture and what you know, and playing towards your strengths, but also having a little bit of ambition. We brought Joe Edwards in, and it obviously didn't work. He was rightfully sacked. Because he was trying to play a brand of football which he didn't have a lot of time to work with the players, and the players clearly couldn't cope with what he was being asked. So we got Neil Harris in, and he's done completely the opposite, because he stuck to the club's morals, the club's know-how, the players' strengths, and he's clearly done very well because he's kept us in the division. So ultimately, I think going forward, Millwall don't have the financial backing. We never have done. We don't have the financial backing to go out and spend X amount of money on this player and Y amount of money on that player to then help us or make us play a progressive style of football. We don't have that, unfortunately. So then it's about trying to make what you've got. And I think right here, right now, going into next season, we just simply have to make what we've got. And then maybe we sort of look at it afterwards and say, okay, what can we do from that point onwards? But I think for next season onwards, Neil Harris in charge, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay. We'll preview the Plymouth game in a second with our Plymouth fan, but let me just ask you about your favourite home game this season. Is because you say goodbye to the Den for another 3 months or so. When you look back and think back at the ups and downs you've had, is there one game that sticks in your mind as being one that you thoroughly enjoyed this year?
Well, it has been a largely pretty depressing time at home this season, up until recently. Under Rauer and under Edwards, we were really poor at home. We had one of the worst home records in the league, which for the Den is usually known to be a bit of a fortress. And so that was very disappointing. We've had some really poor results. However, if I'm going to pick one, it has to be like Leicester game. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago, but Tuesday night, Leicester had came top of the league. They were obviously on a sort of sticky spell themselves, but the atmosphere was good. The boys dug in really deep, and Ryan Longman scored an unbelievable goal to make us win the game 1-0. That was by far and away my favourite game this season. One out of very few.
A crazy stat I saw was that Fleming, Bradshaw, and Watmore have all scored 3 goals at home for Millwall, and they are your top goal scorers at home this season with a total of 3 each. I mean, that just highlights, doesn't it, what Millwall problem's been all season, isn't it?
Haven't been scoring enough goals. That's what it comes down to. Defensively, we've been solid in parts. In spells, we've been solid. Kept a lot of clean sheets this season. Actually, we're in double figures for clean sheets, but we haven't scored enough goals. That's what it comes down to ultimately.
Yeah. Okay. What about your lowest point?
Lowest point at home. We lost 4-0 to Reading in the Carabao Cup first round. That was at the very beginning of the season. I went to that. That was poor. I don't usually leave games early, but I had to leave that one early because I couldn't be there. I think if I'm noticeably going to pick out one, the Ipswich one was a hard one to take. We played Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday on back to back. We lost 4-0 to Ipswich, and then on the weekend afterwards we lost 2-0 to Sheffield Wednesday, who were rock bottom of the league at the time. And obviously after that, Edwards then got the boot. He was gone after that. He got the sack. So those two really were probably the two hardest losses to take this season. That was a really tricky sort of time.
Okay. All right, then let's bring in our Plymouth fan and let's get some chat about this particular game this weekend. Good evening, Jaden. Welcome to the Millwall View. Millwall can sit back on this one, but Plymouth can't, can they?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, we have to go for it this weekend. It's a really important game on the back of a really heavy defeat against Stoke, obviously. It's a must win. I know Argyle don't do must wins. We always love to make it difficult for ourselves. We usually get a draw and then we win against a tougher team the next week somehow. We always manage to pull it off, but yeah, it seems to be a must win, but you never know with Argyle. We might win against Hull somehow.
George, Millwall aren't going to be in giving mood, are they? You're going to want to send another 3 points, send the fans home happy, get those season ticket sales back up for next year, and send Plymouth further down to their worries.
No, yeah. Last home game of the season. It's a sellout at the Den, which has been a lot this season. We've been getting very good numbers through the gates this year. The sun will be shining. Well, hopefully, anyways, the sun will be shining. And Neil Harris won't say to him, "Listen, we got nothing to play for now. Let's relax." It will be like, "Listen, let's get up for this, lads. Last home game. Let's give the fans something to cheer about before we go into the summer." And then give us a little bit of hope going into next season. So yeah, I'm hoping that the players and the gaffer will get them up for it.
Okay, sorry, Plymouth fans, but this is not going to go your way. Let's get some score predictions then. George, you can head first.
I'm going to go with 2-0 Millwall. I know Plymouth's record away from home this season has been very poor. We've been quite good at home recently, especially under Harris since he's been back in. We've been very good, haven't lost yet. So I can see it being a 2-0 Millwall win.
Okay. Jaden?
I'm going to go for 1-1. We love to make it difficult for ourselves.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Thank you, George. Thank you, Millwall fans. Please put the comments below if you can think of any better home game this season than what George mentioned, or any lower point than what George mentioned as well. Really, really good. Thank you for the comments last week as well. Thank you, George. Enjoy the game. We'll see you one final time next week for the final away trip of the season. Cheers, George, and enjoy the game.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, Jaden.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, Mark.